Alright, oops, I forgot to turn my camera on. How about that? That's fun. 1 second. I try so hard to remember to get everything, and usually I'm pretty okay at it, but sometimes I forget things. And this time I forgot the most important part, my beautiful face. There we go. Hello. I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel. We're gonna kick off this week and do some writing here. Once I can make sure that everything is all good to go and everything is cruising the way I need it to be, which it looks like it is. Sweet. So hopefully everyone is having a good day, a good first day of the week. My day's going pretty okay. Managed to get a decent morning workout in, despite the fact that my foot has been ballooned up to at least an extra 50% its normal size all weekend. I bunged it up during sparring on Saturday, and it just hadn't been quite right since then. It's all superficial, but it makes wearing shoes difficult. So I was pleased it wasn't so bad that I couldn't get my workout in this morning. So all things considered, I'm pretty stoked with how today is starting. Hopefully everyone's beginning to the week is going at least a little more smoothly than mine has so far. One can hope, anyway. One can hope. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and get us to our main screen here so we can go ahead and get ourselves cruising. Here we are. So, today we are going to work on our campaign a little more, as we do on Mondays, and I'm pretty stoked to be getting back to, no, not getting back to, I always say getting back to as though I've been like away for months or something. Like, no, I've just been, it's been a weekend, it's been a couple days. The last thing we wrote on stream was this, but it's still, you know what, I wasn't doing it 10 minutes ago, so even with that in mind, it's good to be back at it. But at any rate, me pondering the confusions of the English language aside, I'm excited to be getting into it. I've been feeling a certain burst of creative energy myself lately, which is always fun. I mean, I work hard to not let myself kind of be in a state of needing inspiration to get stuff done. I'm a firm believer of the idea that activity begets inspiration, not the other way around. That said, sometimes you do just kind of get motivation, inspiration, something along those lines, and it makes you particularly excited to get back to things and to work on new ideas and stuff. And I've been kind of having a little burst of that energy lately, so I'm pretty happy that I'm sitting here gonna work on this a little bit more. It's not gonna change, like, I've got ideas that aren't gonna change the trajectory of the part of the campaign we've been working on lately, but it makes me excited to finish this part that we've been working on so we can get to new parts that I have some cool ideas about. That I think will be fun to get to. But first things first, we got to finish our section. But even before we get to that, I'm going to do just our usual quick rundown of what we've been working on, so that way anyone watching the VODs, the whole YouTube scene and all of them can kind of catch up a little bit if they're jumping in the middle of this process, which is very likely considering we have hundreds of hours of work on this campaign already recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, let me dive us into that. We're working on a full homebrew campaign that will take a group of 5 players from levels 1 to level 10. This campaign takes place in my homebrew world of Zeoria, which is what we're looking at right here. And this world is a post-apocalyptic type of world where most of the world has been abandoned and forgotten about for a couple thousand years, with only a few city strongholds remaining. So that leaves us in a world that is in a lot of disrepair, very fragmented, and very difficult to survive in. That said, there's always efforts to try and reclaim parts of this world and make life a little bit easier, as the tenacious humanoid races will do. They're trying to reclaim these lost parts of the world so that they can just, continue to do their living thing as they like to do. And in the name of that, that's kind of where the premise for our campaign begins. We have a city right up here, the city of Fosvik up here, and then down here we have the city of Mofafetting. These two cities, typically speaking, in order to have any sort of trade or commerce, basically Fosvik only has Yusnoi up here to try and interact with, and Mofafetting has Pergonian and man, I don't even remember this city. Holotvla, I guess. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've done my own stuff. But yeah, so they've got those options there, but they would both obviously have a lot to gain from having a more direct trade route. It would expand both of their trading opportunities quite a bit. So in the name of that, there is an effort originating in Fosvik to map out at least a somewhat safe trade route that could just kind of go directly south to here. And that's where we're going to run into our players. We'll bring up a region map. The entirety of this campaign also takes place within this one hex right here. It's got a wide range of different environments, makes for a fun, diverse, exciting, interesting, varied campaign. I wonder how many other adjectives I can throw in there without it just becoming a list rather than a description. But anyway, so this is our sort of region map of where our players will begin, and the whole campaign begins down here, where our players are part of this initiative, this group that is trying to map out this potential trade route. What's going to happen is it's going to come to light that this area down here, the Golden Wind Plains, is the domain of a dragon. And that's going to come to light when the dragon comes to confront them and says, "Oi, this is my land. I don't want you making this trade route. I don't want, humanoids in here. Y'all are a bunch of warmongering people, and I don't want you in my lands." Humanoids desperate to, this group desperate to get this mission done will ask the dragon if there's anything they can do to make a trade or earn the right to stay in this area. And the dragon will then say, "Okay, sure, there's this place called the Hall of Wisdom. I've been trying to get into it, but it's been locked and sealed up by keys and magic, so you need to find the keys in order for me to get in there. If you can find the keys for me, then I will let you make your trade route." So our players will answer the call to adventure and go on a key hunt. The first one they find is up here among the giants. They find that one. Great, 1/4 of the way done. The next part is to find a key that's been hidden among the abandoned dwarven city of Kagdaral. They get down here, find it's not so abandoned, there's a lot of Durgar there, add some complication, but all things considered, it's, just another day in the life of an adventurer in the D&D world. But while they're exploring in there, no matter how they choose to go about it, there's a few options we've kind of put in place for them. No matter how they choose to go about it, they'll find themselves on the pathway to the vaults of Kagdaral here, which is sort of where their best guess at where that key is being housed is going to be. And that's what we've been working on. We can see we've got our dungeon here. There's so this is sort of chapter 5 of this campaign, which will bring the players from level 5 up to level 6 by the end of it, is the intent. There are sort of 5 basic segments of this. You can kind of think about it as 3, but we've mapped it out into 5 mapped segments here. So when they first leave the city, they find that there's other abandoned parts of the city that have not been reclaimed by the Durgar and are still just kind of left up to all of the chaos of, the horrible creatures that infest the underground tunnels within the abandoned city of the dwarves. So they go through sort of a little shopping center, and then they go through a nice little suburban neighborhood, the dwarves, and then after that they reach the tunnels, which are sort of an intentionally confusing and difficult to traverse series of tunnels and caves that the dwarves have created as part of the protection of their treasures. So this is the first part of it, and this is the part we're kind of in the middle of. We'll eventually get to the second part here, and then actually what will happen is as they leave this area, they'll reach those vaults, get what they need, but in the process it's going to collapse the tunnels here so they do not have a way back. And so the final part of this is them traversing through this forested area here to try and get back to another back door into the city so that they can either finish up any business they might have with the Duergar if they chose to take a more peaceful route with them, or so they can just sneak through the city and eventually get back out and start heading back home afterwards. So that's what we've been working on, and that's what we will continue to work on today. So, we can pull up our stuff. For this portion, we've already kind of predetermined what's going to be in each room, the type of stuff that's going to be in each room, and now we're just kind of coming up with the details for each one, and then adding a little decoration. This part is kind of, the way I view it is this part is sort of the easiest part, but also the most enjoyable, because this is the part where I get to just be, you know, creative and just do world building in its most raw, interesting form, which is writing down details of places that exist in the world we're creating. So this is the part that I really like for sure. So the next chamber, we've already kind of created a handful of the chambers, including having mapped out our boss fight of this part of it, mini boss really. But we are just kind of going through and figuring out exactly what it's all going to look like. And so the next room that we have to work on is going to have an easy battle in it, which, if I'm remembering properly, easy battles have 600 experience points. Yeah, 600 experience points worth of challenge in them. And I like to, and we've already kind of determined exactly what monsters players are going to interact with in this stage of everything. And so I want to apologize. For some reason I'm having a day where I'm having a harder time staying hydrated properly. I don't know, sometimes you just have those days where your body's a doggone sponge and it just soaks up every bit of liquid you provide it. But we have to come up with 600 experience points, and we've got our sort of collection of monsters that we've already determined, working with swarms of spiders and giant spiders. And I'm pretty sure we've done one of giant spiders, right? Yeah, we've done giant spiders already, had them show up a little bit, of 3 of them. I like to make sure that even though we have multiple easy battles, they don't all look the same. It's just more fun if things kind of have different compositions and present slightly different challenges to players. That's how I prefer to do it. So we've gotten the giant spiders. I'm thinking this one, because if we look in this chamber here, we're working on chamber number 5 here, and this is a very tiny one. So I'm thinking this would be a good one to just do a whole mess of like a swarm of spiders, because the swarm, there's a couple reasons for this. One is that I always have the swarm of spiders acting as like one singular unit. So it's an interesting concept to have basically, you know, 6 of these swarms of spiders all taking up this area here, this massive area. And what I think is extra kind of cool about doing this idea is swarm of spiders can occupy the same space as players, so the cramped nature of this chamber won't inhibit any sort of action or activity that players or spiders might take in this area. You know, the players can just sort of choose to try and, you know, hack their way through. They can choose to try and just like wade their way through this veritable puddle of spiders that we're going to put in there. They can kind of choose what they want to do, but it's not actually a physical barricade, rather just sort of a group of monsters that they have to decide if they want to just kind of walk through them or not. I mean, they'll attack them, but what I'm thinking would be even more fun is if we set it up so that, and we define the spiders when we're adding our details in this situation, as them not wanting to chase the players or go after the players, but if the players get in their space, then they'll attack. And I think that makes for an interesting slight variation. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and we've got 100, they're worth 100 experience points apiece. So we'll do 6 swarm of spiders, and those are all worth 100 XP apiece. I always put the little note about how much experience points each individual like monster that they're encountering within a singular room are worth. So that way I can, if I'm going to have a situation, it's unlikely to happen in this room, but if there's a situation where, you know, one of the enemies or so runs away, then I can easily sort of subtract what I need to for the experience points that players are going to gain from the encounter. It doesn't happen very often because usually players will just, you know, full on Han Solo style chase after anyone that tries to run away. They love doing that, which is great as a DM. I mean, it really makes it easy to lay a trap because they will always willfully just walk right into it. And I'm like, hey, you know, if that's what floats your boat, then by all means. But we can go ahead and set that up. And so as I'm thinking about trying to describe this, I'm just going to put in the DM note right away here that says, when these enemies see the players, they will not react or chase after them. Instead, the spiders will mercilessly bite and attack anyone who enters their spaces. Right, so we're just going to put our little DM note there. DM note, as always, in a different color. So that way we see that and remember our past selves saying to our future selves, hey, dum-dum, don't read this part out loud. There's a number of times I've accidentally done that. Before I started doing this, like, it's genuinely a thing that would happen. You would just kind of get into that like reading descriptive mode of things, and you would see notes there, and you'd be like, oh, I should describe what's happening to my players, and you would go about it, and then suddenly you realize you're reading the notes that they're not supposed to know and giving away all the secrets of the room. So anything you can do to delineate things that players should and shouldn't know is a good idea. And it's always better to err on the side of more obviousness rather than less. And there is a... I wish I could easily move my camera. Oh yeah, Kitty figured it out. There's so just for a little context, this is an aside, but it's an amusing anecdote that I feel like sharing just to, you know, take up airtime. But my setup is right over here. Set up my hand so you can see, like, right in this direction over here. My balcony. I have my desk set up so that I can see past the sliding glass door. And on my balcony, I keep things like bird feeders because it's nice and it's pleasant to have little bits of wildlife, but occasionally the squirrels come up. And sometimes the squirrels get very curious and they're on the deck, and that's no big deal. But occasionally they get extra curious and they want to see if there's a way to get inside the apartment. And so they come right up to the door, and that's no big deal. But then there's a screen door, and occasionally they start thinking to themselves like, hey, I wonder if there's a way up top to get in here. So they start climbing up the screen door. So I have basically Spider Squirrel just kind of crawling all around my screen door, and one of the little buggers was doing that just a second ago, and Kitty definitely noticed that, and so we are now going to be staring at the squirrel for a good half hour at least. At least. That's like top tier live entertainment for the cat. So, anecdote aside, let's describe this room. Walking into this room, your first impression is that the floor itself is moving. But with a little light and a closer look, you can see that the entire floor is coated in a carpet of spiders. They squirm and skitter over one another, urgently undertaking some incomprehensible task that only they understand. There is no way through to any of the exits, and then I'm trying to be better about like sort of describing just like where there are exits. So really we can just say to the exits north or south from the other to any of the exits, north or south, from any other one without wading through this creepy cavern. There we go. There's just a hint of alliteration right there. Just a dash of it. Just a pinch. Just a pinch. So there we go. You just add that, and that's really all we need. And then the fun thing about this, okay, so I have so we're gonna put our enchantment component here, which in this dungeon we've kind of decided that the enchanting item, the items that are there for a pre-recipeed enchantment and crafting project if players are interested, is going to be a dwarven hammer, and we've already put in an enchantment token, which is a little system I use that provides players with an enchantment or an imbuement version of a spell that exists in the game, just so that they can either use it on this item or any other item if they so choose. And it's just a fun thing that makes it interesting for my players. We've already determined that, and we've already put in the raw materials for them to be able to make the hammerhead. And I mean, it's got to be a hammer because it's dwarves, right? So let's see here. Enchantment item. And then so I know I want to put like the handle of this hammer. The handle of this hammer recipe, or like the materials to make the hammer, I want to put that in the woods. I mean, that seems pretty obvious, right? That they can kind of come across like some really good wood that could be used to make the handle of a war hammer or something like that. That seems like the obvious decision. And so if we have the materials to make the head of the hammer, then we know where we're going to put the materials to make the handle. What I think next we need is basically instructions or a recipe for making the head and making the handle. And we can put either one either place. And so what I think I want to do here... You having fun watching the squirrel? Kitty's chittering. She's making the little chattery cat meows that cats make. It's super adorable. Oh, and now we've got too much energy, so we're going to switch our scratching post. Go kitty. Sorry. If this is your first time watching any of my streams / VODs, you might not be aware, but I'm more than a little obsessed with my cat. I think she's absolutely one of the cutest things that has ever existed, and I absolutely adore her. And will take every opportunity I can find to acknowledge and talk about her. So, you know, be prepared for that. One of these days, I do intend to get a second camera that I can set up just at her bed. So anytime she's hanging out with us, we can have a cat cam going on. One day, if I ever come up with the moolah for such frivolities. So anyway, what I want to do is, I'm going to put a DM note here, because this is not going to be an easy thing to see. DC 14 to notice the skeleton and accompanying pouch among the spiders. I'm gonna have this so like they're if they even think to look in this area for something of value, it's not gonna be the easiest thing to find, but we'll say let's see here. Oh shoot, one thing. Sorry. There we go. So we'll say as the spiders seem to move in waves to and from various parts of the cavern floor, you can catch glimpses of what appears to be a skeleton with a pouch at its side. And so, like, I'm not gonna put any other extra challenge to get it. They can just walk over and get it, but by doing so, they'll be subjecting themselves to getting bit up by these spiders. Like, I always had this vision of it being, I don't know if anyone other than me has had this experience. Well, I mean, other people in the world have had, but anyone who would be watching this has had this experience as I have. At one time in my life, I was this was a study abroad when I was back in college. I spent a month camping through Africa, and at one of the campgrounds, there was an infestation of part of the campground in fire ants. And for the most part, you didn't have to worry about them. They had that part cordoned off. But if anyone understands how ants work, they recognize that they aren't exactly stationary creatures. They, move and forage for things. And so myself and another of our group were just kind of going for a stroll through the campground, trying to steer clear of the not cool parts. When it turns out that the territory of those ants had expanded a bit. And we stepped in it, and our ankles got bit like nobody would believe. And I'm not going to sit here and say it was like the worst pain of my life. It was startling and unfun to have to go through that number of bites. And that's kind of what I'm expecting this situation will be. This isn't anything meant to be deadly to players. It's just meant to be a roadblock that might funnel them towards other more difficult rooms to handle, because they don't like the look and feel of this one. Plus, if anyone has a character who's got a thing about spiders, then hey, just added fun and amusement to it all. But yeah, like that's kind of what I'm imagining the challenge of this one is. And so we'll say when you make it to the pouch and take a second to look inside, you see that there is only a collection of what appears to be blueprints of some sort. These blueprints seem to outline methods for turning raw materials into a fine head for a warhammer. Boom, there we go. Does it want those as separate words? Oh, it wants it capitalized because it's thinking about it as like the proper noun of like Warhammer the game. That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'm gonna just do that. And functionally speaking, so I have a crafting system, and one of these days I'll make a video talking about how the crafting system that I use works and why I do it the way I do. But the gist of it is when players want to use downtime to craft something, they roll a d20 to see how many crafting points they earn, and then they can add bonuses to that based on things like proficiencies, things like having proper tools and proper materials and all that kind of stuff. And so what I'm thinking we'll do with this is when the blueprints are used and followed, players making crafting checks may do so with advantage. So basically it just gives them the chance to get, a better roll on that crafting, and it can possibly speed up the process quite a bit. So, what are you doing right there? You never sit there. I wonder if you, yeah, you can totally see her. You can totally see her on the screen. I didn't even notice. Hold on, let me, like right above where the cursor is. She's just sitting there on the coffee table, just mugging. There she goes. I told you, I'm obsessed with my kitty. Oh, now she's up here. Hi, kitty. I know. Hi, honey. Did you want to snuggle on the warm blanket? Is that what you want? I know I've got my heated blanket going on right now because I'm cold all the time these days. What are you looking for, kitty? I don't know. I always imagine my cat sounds like Gurr from Invader Zim. It's like the voice I give her in my head. There you go. You want to come snuggle? Yeah, it's nice and warm. Oh, we like that. We like that on a cold, snowy day. This cat. No, you're the cutest stinking thing. All right, hold on. I'll try and get us a good glimpse of her. There she is. There she is, enjoying the blanket on my lap. It's a heated blanket. My parents were kind enough to get me over the holidays because they know that I'm cold all the time. Let me adjust this. Make sure we got. There we go. That's where we want it. All right. I'm sorry. I'm very distractible today. But it's for my cat, and I mean, who could blame me? She's adorable. She's absolutely adorable. Anywho, blueprints are used and followed. Players making crafting checks may do so with advantage. Boom. That's all we really need to do with this. I think that's a perfectly fine bonus to give players. We don't want it to be too easy to make a super awesome Warhammer. But hey, you know, if we give them advantage on it, then they can't say that I never did them a favor. So that's perfect. And oh dear. Sorry, I keep getting distracted with my cat. No, we're just gonna change the stream. We're gonna change the stream today. It's gonna just be me doting on my cat, and you get, and like every follow gets an extra treat for her or something. I don't know. I should do that. You know that if I did that just in the name of you know, making my cat severely overweight, the internet would totally bombard me. You know they would. It's absolutely how it works, because internet loves overweight animals. That is for doggone sure. All right, let me reorganize this a little bit. I've got these all kind of spread out and fragmented, and it's confusing my brain. Okay, so we've got just a whole mess of spiders that are gonna go here. I think it's only appropriate that we put a lot of spider webs down there, kind of like we did up here, only just down here this time. So let's go to our object tool, and then go to our used section here. I guess we'll put our torches here, like I like to do for my players. Doesn't really make sense for there to be lit torches in a series of tunnels that have been abandoned for thousands of years, but hey, you know, that never stopped Skyrim, so it won't stop me either. So let's just make some spider webs and stuff that are filling this area here. We can just kind of do these all around the perimeter and then grab bigger ones for filling up the center. Not just like this. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to put these under. That way the things still stay, what am I trying to say? The torches stay visible. There we go. So we can just do that. Lots of spider webs, thematic, interesting. And then, have we used skeletons on this part of the map yet? I don't think I've used skeletons yet. So let's go ahead and go to skeleton. We'll go ahead and add that in somewhere. And we'll leave it as under the spider webs because it's just like buried under there. So we'll do that. And then I want to do, I think I've used the generalized like pack or pouch that I like to use for the, oh, maybe not. No, we could put a ham shank or a turkey leg. This guy died doing what he loved, eating a carnival turkey leg. All right, we'll go with. We have just like, yeah, sack. Here we go. That's probably what we need to do. And so we'll just put his sack right there. So that sounded weird. I don't like the way I phrased that. I take that back. I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone subjected to that. That's good. And now we'll just add our light, our little bit of lighting in here. Light tool. We've been going with the blue because it's a cavern. We will make these. Yeah, that's the size I've been using. I'm trying to not add too much light here. I want it to still feel dim and not very well lit. It is still a cave after all. Provide it there for the sake of ease when it comes to like dark vision versus normal vision versus having a torch or a light source. It's just I've never ever had a group that didn't make sure to have some sort of light source for everyone, so I don't worry too much about invoking true dark vision and stuff like that. But it's just easier if all the lights are already there because we play online, or at least I do with my group. And so it's just easier if we already have in place all of the lighting that they'll need there rather than trying to remember who gets which light and all that kind of stuff, and then forgetting to take it off when it's done and all that kind of stuff. So there we go. Simple room, quick and easy. Nothing to it. Nothing to it. Which then takes us to our next room. Like I say, this is the kind of streamlined, easy part. But I also really enjoy this part where you just kind of get to describe the details of what this whole dungeon looks like for your players. So this room's gonna have a medium battle. Oops, I should underline this. Oops, what did I do? Medium battle, that's what I'm looking for. Medium battle. And how many experience points we determine medium battles should have? About 1150, so about 1200. Have we already done a medium battle? No, we have not. So functionally speaking, 1200 experience points to play around with. We could do a Choldrith with like a few giant spiders or something. That wouldn't be too bad. Because as long as it's within like a couple hundred experience points of that level, it'll functionally serve the same purpose for players. So I'm thinking we can do one of them. Like if we do like a Choldrith here, 700 experience points plus, I don't know, 2 or 3. Well, I guess if we did 3 giant spiders, that would bring us up to 1100, which is only 50 shy, and then the next one we can do 1200. So we'll do it that way. So medium battle, 1100 experience points, and then just do 1x Choldrith, and then 3x giant spitters. So there's our composition there. That's a good battle for them. That'll be the right challenge level for what we're looking for there. Let's imagine our area here. So the Choldrith, I'm going to pull up and just remember here. Make sure I'm remembering what's what. The Choldriths are the weird spidery people looking things, right? Yeah, this guy. One of the weird spidery looking people, guys. Look at that guy. That guy is so creepy. Looks like a spider version of like what the Flood do to humans in Halo, right? Where it's like there's this weird, like you can see remnants of the human looking part that's just like been absorbed into the spider body. Yeah, Shadow, like a worse drow. It does. Like this particular one looks like it was a drow that was like Spider-Man, but in a much worse way than Spider-Man. he was the rejected concept art for Spider-Man. It's anti-Spider-Man. That's like man spider. Yeah, it's unpleasant, which is why it's a perfect enemy, because it'll make players very uncomfortable. And if that's not my job, I don't know what is. So let's see here. As you enter this cavern, you see what appears to be 4 giant spiders all roaming the area. However, upon closer examination, one of these creatures appears to be much more unholy than even a giant spider, as though a humanoid and a spider were spliced together. A horrible monstrosity that is a giant spider body. Wow, I messed up all those words. A giant spider body with the top half of a human torso holding a half spider, half we'll say elven head, just to make it descriptive, even though it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for an elf to be down here. I guess it could. There were elves not too far from here, and if one of them was all like, hey, the unhinging, this is a good opportunity for me to go try and steal some stuff, and they tried to do like a bank robbery and got lost, and then this happened. But yeah, we'll just say that. Half of we'll say elven. Of an elven torso holding a half spider, half elven head. Skitters with the other giant spiders. Boom, we'll just do that. And I don't even know if I'm going to put a DM note. A lot of times I'll put DM notes about whether or not sneaking is, oh, excuse me, my apologies, a viable option within any given chamber. Because I know, at least with my players, they will try to sneak everywhere all the time, and just that there are situations where that just isn't possible. And this one seems like a gray area to me. I don't know that I'm explicitly concerned with it being possible. I don't have a reason to make it possible. But I don't have a reason to make it impossible. This is a big enough one that if they wanted to successfully do it, I suppose they probably could just peer around a corner or try and tiptoe their way into the room or something like that. But ultimately, I think it's just a matter of if they go in there, they're going to get spotted. I guess what I'll do is I'll just say, let's put a DM note here and say, DC 14 to sneak along the wall and slip past without being noticed. So if they want to, they can try, but it's going to be a bit more difficult than just like, hey, yeah, you tiptoe, it's great. Which then inevitably one player's going to fail, and then they're all going to be mad at me because that's what they do. Players love trying dumb things and then being mad when they don't work. I've always been like, you have to have the right mindset about it as a DM, because every group of players will have at least one who tries to do that, and probably multiple who try to do that. Not like maliciously, they just will try stupid things and then be bummed it didn't work. And so you have to learn, at least I've learned to just find it amusing and and laugh when that happens, and relish their anxiety over it. I always feel bad. I feel like I always sound so adversarial with my players. I don't mean to make it sound like I have like a weird Stockholm Syndrome situation going on with my players. We all hate each other, but we can't imagine not hanging out. It's not like that. I have a great fondness for my players, and for most of the players I've played with in the past. A few problem children, but for the most part, I've always loved all my players. But there is sort of an adversarial, element to player DM relationships, because you're inherently controlling opposite sides of a conflict. So there's naturally a little bit there, which is why I've learned to just be amused by it. It's part of having a thick skin, so that way I don't take it personally when players are disappointed because their characters didn't get to be the sort of automatic hero that they sometimes wish they could be. It's understandable. So we got to find some more potions. So we're gonna say, oh, here we go. This will be a fun one. Slung around the Choldrith as though it was fused to the creature, as the magic combining the elf and the spider was doing its dark work, is a leather pouch. As the creature moves, a slight tinkling sound. I used to not be able to hear the word tinkling without giggling. And I guess I should probably take away the qualifier used to, because what am I doing right now? I called attention to it and I'm giggling like a little idiot. A idiot, if you will. Such a child. As the creature moves, a slight tinkling sound can be heard coming from the pouch. And then maybe we'll just leave it at that, like, hey, you know, there's a little bit of noise coming from this thing. Are you interested enough to try and figure out how to get into that, or are you willing to just be like, yeah, well, whatever makes it happy, it can have random crap, I don't care. It's all up to the players. It's always up to the players. Alright, let's just add some lighting. I don't think this room really needs a whole lot of decoration. It's kind of an interesting aspect to these chambers as I've organized them. Although I lost my train of thought there because I was thinking about the lights. Oh, interesting fact. There's not a whole lot of details to be added in this one, because it's meant to be just sort of like an empty tunnel where all of the tunnels are largely indistinguishable from one another. And that's an intentional design. I was using similar tactics for the approach to the city of Kagdaral, which is then the players are there and then they leave that city to chase after the vaults here. Excuse me. So it's kind of all one idea. It's the same idea as I used back then, which is that the dwarves intentionally created these tunnels for the sake of having them be confusing and deadly to any who were trying to get through here without having proper permissions, which is like you would know you have proper permissions because someone would give you instructions on how to survive and make it through these areas. And so everything kind of looks the same, and it doesn't translate super well playing a game because, you know, players get the overhead view of everything. So you can't really get them feeling too topsy-turvy, but it still helps with the atmosphere if you design it with that in mind, because the idea is that this is meant to be topsy-turvy and players are supposed to be very confused about where they're going. Excuse me. What rooms they haven't been in, you know, which rooms will take them further in the direction, all that kind of stuff. So I'm okay with this all being kind of samey. You know, there's a time and place for it, and really just Under the Mountains I think is like the ultimate time and place for it, because when do you have light to shine on things? When does a cave become anything other than just rock and tunnels, right? It's like if you're a professional splunker and you know exactly what you're looking for, maybe you could get away with it, but for the most part, caves are just caves, and it just kind of stays that way always. So yeah, anyway, I don't know, pontification on that aside. Okay, I'm going to just really quickly take like a 2-minute break. Probably won't even be that long. I just need to run to the bathroom, and I'm going to refill my beverage. Despite my earlier concerns, my body has apparently reached saturation point, and so we are now ready to void the excess. So it almost sounds grosser when you say it clinically like that. I try to say it clinically so it doesn't sound quite as blatant and yucky, right? I try to do that, but it just sounds worse when you say it clinical. So I'm gonna take like a minute, maybe about a minute, just so I can go take a whiz. Yeah, that sounds way better. It sounds way better to just say it. Like, I just need to be a child about it. I'm gonna go make tinkles. See, tinkling. There it is. I'll be back in a minute. Sit tight. I appreciate your patience. I will be back very, very soon. You guys can just hang out in my intermission screen or whatever. I don't know. I want to try and get a fancier one, but, you know, things come in baby steps. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'll be right back. Alright, I am back. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. My bladder appreciates it. And we are ready to get right back to it here. So, let's see here. We finished a room. Yeah, we finished a room, and now we're going to start our next room. That is where we are at. Great. Super cool. Neato. Alright, let's see here. Hey, Eyes of Osiris. How's it going? Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. If I had a quick key up for it, I would intro you with the Pokemon battle music, but alas, I'm unprepared. But I'm glad you're here. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so our next room here is going to be another medium battle, which is easy enough to handle. Medium battle. And then, so if we just did 1100, so I want to do 1200 with this next one. 1200 XP. Ah, nice. Working on some world building type stuff. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I can say from personal experience that it's a pretty neat hobby. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to do this stuff. So let's see here. So I want to do a medium battle. I'm going to. We need 1200. I kind of want to just screw with my players and chuck 6 giant spiders at them, and just wreck them with giant spiders. 6 giant spiders. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that from time to time. And I mean, it's not like 6 enemies is particularly, you know, frightening. Well, okay, so here's what I'll say. At least with my group of players, if they see more than 2 enemies in a room, they will immediately panic and be like, oh my god, there's so many of them, we'll never be able to handle this. Even though they pretty much have a really easy time, they pretty much always have an easy time dispatching, 5 or fewer enemies. But, as soon as they see they're outnumbered, players will, immediately panic. Which, amuses me. And I'm glad for it. I mean, ultimately, I'm glad for it, but it always amuses me because I'm always sitting here like, do you guys really think I would give you something that you couldn't that I'm in charge of the game, and that I like playing and that I don't want to just murder you all right away. That I'm giving you stuff that you can handle, right? Maybe the boss battle will be there, but you understand that you can handle all these guys, but they just will immediately panic. It's like this is always an excuse to, these types of battles are an excuse to have a game and provide them with sweet loot and stuff like that. So nice. Got a session 0 and a session 1 coming up. That's exciting. There's always excitement and revolving around starting a new game. That sounds awesome. Let's see. Okay, so medium battle. Let's see here. Just see. There's nothing really remarkable about this room. So we'll say, though exits to this chamber exist to the east and south of it. Easy traversal of this room is inhibited by the presence of 6 giant spiders. I don't think we really even need to do anything else than that. I think honestly that's a perfectly fine description. Not everything needs to be a particularly in-depth description, and that's all this is. Especially because it's empty. There's no reward. There's no reward for this one other than the experience points. Empty. Womp womp. Yeah, there's no treasure. There's no treasure. Oh yeah. Well, the thing is I've always found that groups early on in a campaign will probably pull shenanigans more often than a group that's 40 or 50 sessions in. Oops, don't mind me knocking my desk and shaking my camera here. They will always be more shenanigan driven because they haven't gotten themselves super attached to the storyline yet, right? They're not super into it and really excited about progressing and achieving this, that, or the other goal. So players early on will tend to be much more of the also random stage of just like, you know, attacking everything in sight and wanting to just wreak as much havoc as possible because of that sort of fascination that comes with the fact like, oh, I've got a character and I can literally do anything that I want. They love doing that. So oh wow, they wow, you're really letting them get away with quite a bit of stuff then. Jeez. giving them a lot of power early on. I mean, more power to you. More power to you. That's funny. That's funny. Let's see here. Okay, we gotta map out this room here. Let's pull up. I mean, this one's just gonna be torches, honestly. Just give them a light source, and there's not much else going on in this one. Just a nice empty cavern. Nice empty cavern. So that way they don't get too comfortable finding rewards and treasures and stuff. Gotta make sure we don't reward our players too much after all. Because then they're gonna start expecting rewards, and gosh, then they just get insufferable about it. What do you mean there's no treasure in here? I don't know, it's a bathroom. No one keeps treasure in the bathroom. What do you want from me? Alright, there we go. Oops, I did not mean to put a light right here. That was an accidental click. Let's get rid of that one. Alright, there we go. Great. Alright, this is going to be a nice big room. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Let's see here. Yeah, I imagine you would try to prevent that. That's a recipe for letting players get a little big for their britches if they can kill off a demigod. You just got to write that into it and like have it be what you should do. Like what you could do is you could have you could give them the Santa Claus effect, like the movie, the Tim Allen movie, the Santa Claus, where it's like, oh, if you kill the demigod, then you're forced to take their place. And so whoever struck the final blow is now forced to be that demigod, and they have to find out. Like the campaign then becomes them just like basically spending all of their time in the library trying to find a legal loophole within Demon Lord or whatever that they can, so that they can try and like break contract and not have one of their characters be lost to being a demigod. Although that's not what would happen with players. Like, let's be real, players would just absolutely. They would just absolutely abuse that power immediately and excessively. 100%. 100%. We know that's what would happen. Alright, hard battle. Great. That's perfect, actually, because we're going to have, like, such a large cavern here. Oh, wait, hold on. We want that still underlined because I mentioned that the hard battle is worth 1,750 experience points. Let's see. So we've already got our Death Priest. We can't use that one. Could throw a couple Choldriths. That's it. That'd be 14, 15, 16. So we could do some Choldriths and then just have like a small swarm of spiders that are just like roaming around. We could do 2 of the Choldriths, and then if we could do like 4 of the swarm of spiders, which would just bring it up to 1,800. And I think that's perfectly manageable by these players. I mean, they're all level 5. This is balanced for 5 level 5 players. So I think they'll probably be fine. But, yeah, and I mean, if they're not, then, hey, that's part of the game. So we're going to say 1,800 experience points. So we'll do 2x Choldrith, and then 4x swarm of spiders. There we go. Alright. That's easy enough. So let's see here. You enter a chamber that is much larger than most of the others you've seen in these caverns so far. Let's see here. We've got. Wow, this room is connected to pretty much all of them. Let's just say multiple exits in every direction. Multiple exits in nearly every direction protrude from the walls of this chamber, and you suspect it would be very easy to go the wrong way, especially if you're already disoriented. Not helping the situation in this room is the fact that two of the large half humanoid, half spider. Whoops, I don't want a space there. Two of the large half humanoid, half spider creatures are roaming about with an apparent swarm of regular sized spiders keeping close to them. There we go. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom. That's perfect. Okay. Parent swarm of regular sized spiders keeping close to them. Let me just do that. I don't think we need any extra notes there. If players want to try and sneak, I can just decide how generous I want to be with it. Usually I try to... Well, I guess for this one, because it's such a large one, I am going to put a note there about it. I don't know. I just don't like leaving things up to whatever emotional state I'm in when players are trying to achieve this, that, or the other thing. Right? Like, I like to... If there's going to be a check... I like to make sure that it's predetermined what success would be, so I can't just do like, oh, I'm feeling nice, set it to 10, or gosh, these guys are really getting on my nerves tonight, make it an 18. It's like, no, let's just predetermine this and know what the generalized challenge is going to be. It's just better to do it that way. So with that in mind, let's put a note here and say DC. I want to actually say DC 12 to get the jump on the enemies, since the room is large and dark. So if they want to sneak, it's possible. That's it. For this one, I'm just going to say, and actually that makes me think I should really be doing this for all of them. Like, let's be real here. Players will always try to do it, and I should probably just always be prepared to either bring the hammer down or be generous depending on the scenario. So for this one, I'm going to say this room is too packed for any effective sneaking. Boom, there we go. We'll just go ahead and sneak block the players right off the bat here. And this one, I think this one is going to say, yeah, I'm going to say the same thing for this room, the room up there, because that one is the same thing, I feel like. I mean, these aren't completely inattentive creatures they're dealing with anyway. Like, they might not be super intelligent, but it's not like they're not going to be aware of footsteps through the caverns leading up towards their webs, and especially in the rooms where it's like, either explicitly put in there or assumed that there would be spider webs everywhere. Like, the whole point of spider webs, at least one of the points of it, is they can feel the vibrations. So I feel like it wouldn't be much of a stretch to assume that a spider could sense standard footsteps if they're not sneaking effectively. So I'm decreeing it, and thus it shall be, because it's my game, it's my stream, and I can do what I want. So Sorry. I got a little aggressive with that one. Just get excited. Alright, ooh, we get to figure out some lore for this one. So I kind of want to give them a clue about the nature of what they're trying to achieve. So the players are trying to get themselves to They're trying to get themselves to the vaults, but in the process, they need to get some keys. And that has not been made clear to them so far. And I kind of want that on purpose, because I want them to sort of have to do some discoveries as they're going. But since they'll have potentially already passed and missed one of the keys, I think now in this room will probably be a good time to throw them a bone and give a little description about needing, the 2 keys to open the vaults. Because they've already missed one, so that way that'll tip them off too. Oh. I wonder if we should go back and look for one. Or something like that. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, let's see here. We'll say scattered around the floor of this cavern are various skeletons. Skeletons, I'm going to do it this way. A sight that is swiftly becoming too normal for a normal person's comfort. It's like, oh yeah, I'm used to seeing skeletons. Like, no one wants to be at a position where, like, that's just what they do. They're comfortable seeing skeletons. Like, that's not good. That shouldn't be anyone's state of being. I mean, I guess if you work in a morgue or something, sure. I've done inspections of funeral homes and stuff like that, and I mean, those guys are probably pretty used to it, but I don't know, like, it just, yeah, like, and even then, like, I think that's a different scenario than stumbling across just the mangled, broken, abandoned bodies in any situation where you can pretty safely assume that this person did not die in a comfortable, predictable manner. Like, this was probably a jarring, sudden, and uncomfortable experience for them. So I feel like it would be pretty normal and acceptable for someone to think it weird that they've adjusted to that type of atmosphere. And that'd be pretty dark, I gotta say. But anyways, scattered around the floor of this cavern are various skeletons, a sight that is swiftly becoming too normal for a normal person's comfort. Among them are a few scattered pouches, most with a few coins, and I know players are going to ask about it, so we're going to say 37 GP total. So that way, when they inevitably are like, oh, how much money? It's like 30. I don't know. You guys got some pocket change. Relax, would you? Players love treasure. They love treasure. Pouches. I need to restructure this. Most with a few coins. And I'm gonna say actually most with only a few coins. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to go ahead and put a DM note here, and we're gonna say DC 14 to be lucky enough to grab this pouch out of dozens. Oh, excuse me, my apologies. And then let's say, we need our regular font color. I don't know why I insist on going down to the automatic version of black rather than just like the black square, right? I could just go down there, but every time I have to go down there, I think it's because I don't trust that these, like, that this isn't like some sort of gray scale or a different color, because I'm colorblind, so sometimes these things are tough for me, but I know automatically it'll be black. I don't know. Probably doesn't matter to anyone at all. But these are the things I wonder about. And like I say, this is my stream, so you're just kind of along for the ride, so haha. Neater. Okay, let's see here. However, one of the pouches you find has a note of interest in it. The note has vault, guard, rotation on it, and below that are 2 columns. One has a header of key 1, and the other has a header of key 2. So there we go. So now that kind of will hopefully give them the idea, like, okay, we've got vault guardians, and they're each guarding one of 2 keys. So far, that's the scenario. At that stage, they'll probably be wondering if there's a lot more than just those 2 keys. But at least that gives them the idea that, like, hey, we're looking for and dealing with keys. So how about that? Yeah, that's great. I don't know that we really need a whole lot more. Let's go ahead and decorate our room. So this one, I'm not going to worry about the spider webs. Let's go ahead and get ourselves some torches scattered around. That, and then maybe put one right there. Put one right there. And see, this is a good cavern too, because there's going to be a lot of like empty black space, and that's like really fun because we understand, like, as the DM, we understand that, hey, they're perfectly safe, but players will see that and probably get much more nervous than they need to be. But honestly, that's kind of the fun of it, isn't it? Make your players sweat just a little bit. Oh my goodness, I'm starting to feel a little bit of the afternoon sleepies already. Ooh, boys, it's going to be a tough day to go without a nap at this point, I can tell you that. Although I might end up having some extra time this evening. I'm on the fence about whether I'll be doing my usual rock climbing workout tonight. Normally Monday nights I go rock climbing, and that's a really good sort of body weight based strength fitness routine. I usually like doing that, but with my foot all kind of bunged up, I'm not sure that I trust I will be capable of getting much done there. What with how cramped the shoes always are, right? Like, I've got a swollen foot that is painful to the touch. So, like, yeah, that's a good situation for... would be a really good situation for putting myself in a lot of discomfort to try and cram my swollen foot into a very, very tight rock climbing shoe. So it's a good chance I will end up not worrying about it tonight. It's a good chance. Not a guarantee, but a good chance. Anyway, my pontifications aside, let's scatter around a few skeletons. Actually, you know what? I want to do it from this side. Because I want to have a couple skeletons lying around. And I don't want them to all just look the same. Like Family Guy, they all just die in the exact same way. What do you know about that? Let's do that, and then maybe we can put this guy right here, right? So I gotta decide which one of these ones is gonna have the pouch that we need. Let's go to used. Alright. I'll just give... he died snuggling with his equipment. He died standing on his. Do that right there. Do that right there, and one of those has the note that will give them a bit more information. Like, that's a good one too to add, because it's a non-critical note, so if they just don't catch on or don't find it, it's no big deal. So I think that's a good little reward to add in there. I like that. How are we doing on time? Oh man, look at us. Look at us cruising. We are just getting stuff done today. Already got 4 rooms done. This is great. I'm betting we can get through. I'm gonna try and get us through the remainder of this part of the dungeon. I bet you we can get 2 more rooms done. I bet you that's not too difficult, especially because we've already mapped out the boss fight, right? We don't need to think about a boss fight anymore, which just sort of helps things. Yeah. Alright, so we got an easy battle, and then this will be worth some money. So, easy battle. Those are worth 600 XP always. So I actually kind of I know what I want to do with this one. I already know what I want to do with this one. Because we got to mix up. We did one battle that was all, so we did that one that's all of those spiders that line the floorway within that one cavern. And the other one was, we already did one that's 3 giant spiders. So now I want to mix and match. And what I want to do is 2 of each. 2 giant spiders and 2 spider swarms. And the idea that I have is that if I do that, I can have them pair off, right? And it's like each giant one can be like a giant that has little spider minions that just sort of like yo-yo out from him. They'll go out, attack, and then like return to the protection of their spidery overlord or something. So let's do 2 giant spider and then 2 swarm of spider. Perfect. That's actually really fun. I like that. I like that. How big is this chamber? Is there any... it's big enough. I guess it's big enough. I don't have a reason to not allow players to... Oops, I picked the wrong thing, didn't I? Done the wrong one. Done the wrong one. There. Yeah, that's the one we need right there. Alright, so DC... we'll say DC 14 to stay hidden. I don't know. A lot of these are really open, and so I struggle to even say that they can, but I know players will really want to in all of these rooms. They'll really want to try and sneak in and get the jump on these enemies that they have. And they're going to get pretty frustrated if I keep taking that opportunity away from them. So we'll just make it difficult and give it to them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, and that's just kind of you have to just make a call after a certain point on it. Ah, boy, man, I'm sitting here. This is a weird thing to pontificate, but I really hope that my sentences and the things that I'm saying are generally sensible and easy to follow, because I am having a day right now where I just am very like I wouldn't even consider myself tired, but it's like one of those days where you just feel drowsy, right? Like it's a very lethargic afternoon for me, and my body keeps trying to tell me like, hey, you know what'd be really sweet right now? A nice nap. And I think it's because, one, I have a couple injuries that my body is currently trying to heal up from, and so naturally my body's like, hey, extra sleep would do us some good. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I just feel jumbled up. So hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. Or if it doesn't make sense, hopefully it's funny, and y'all can still be watching, laughing, like, what is this guy talking about? Either way, as long as you're having a good time, I think I'm content with it. But yeah, that's how my day is going right now. My day is just like hardcore. Oi, we need a siesta, like immediately. Maybe that's another sign that I should rock climb today. I think the other part of it too is like it's very cold where I am, and I've talked about this a whole lot before, but I have gone through a pretty significant amount of weight loss in the past year, getting back into kickboxing and getting back into shape for that. I'm about 50 pounds lighter than I was a year ago. Maybe not quite that much. It does certainly than a year and a half ago. I'm that much lighter, which means I'm cold all the time. I'm just so cold. This is probably the coldest winter I've gone through in a long time. And naturally, because of that, I'm bundling up. I'm freezing cold today, so I have a nice big warm sweater. I've got my electric blanket here. And I feel like that just naturally makes my body like, oh, you know what would be really nice? A nap. Yeah, we're all cozy for it. So my body is just like thirsting for a siesta right now. Like just unreasonable. So like I say, hopefully with that in mind, I am at least making a modicum of sense. And if not, you know, then the best I can hope for is that, like, the best that I can hope for is that my rambling is at least amusing and my struggles are at least kind of funny. that would give me some comfort knowing that people can at least be amused by my struggles here. All right, let's see here. Easy battle, giant spiders. That's stay hidden. Hold on, let me take a look at this. This is just a long oblong room, right? Yeah, it's just an oblong room. All right, let's see here. Let's say. Oh, here's an idea. So we can say something like all spiders. How do I want to say it? Like all spiders, big and small. Yeah, all spiders, large and small, appear to have their attention focused on a creature of some sort that has been wrapped. Oh, excuse me. There's the yawns. There's the yawns just to prove that I'm a sleepy boy today. I'm a sleepy man. That's my role today, is the sleepy man. I don't know. Maybe when we play video games, it'll perk me up a little bit, or maybe I just gotta do some jumping jacks once I finish up the stream and get to have a break. That's it. All spiders, large and small, appear to have their attention focused on a creature of some sort that has been wrapped up in webbing. Sneaking past them seems possible. However, you also spy that. You also spy we'll say a treasure chest of some sort that is we'll say in the center of this spidery powwow. I don't know how to spell that. The spidery meeting. Just say. There we go. So it's like, yeah, there's a chest, but you gotta go and you gotta deal with these guys. No, just like leaving them. No, just going past them. You have to actually deal with these guys. If that's what you are interested in achieving. If you want your treasure, you gotta go earn that in a fight. You gotta go fist fight a giant spider. Ugh, can you imagine? Can you imagine that, like, in order to achieve whatever it is you're wanting to achieve, you're going to be expected to go just, like, punch a giant spider? And we're talking, like, giant spider that's bigger than you. You just gotta go up there and beat the crap out of it. Can you imagine? Ooh, gosh. Like, I'm not someone who has particular struggles with spiders. For the most part, spiders and I are cool, especially if they just like hang out up in the corner of my apartment. It's like, hey bro, you do you, and you manage all them flies and stuff for me, and we'll be cool. Like, generally speaking, that's my MO. But if I were dealing with a giant spider, like an honest to goodness giant spider that's like, you know, takes up a quarter of my living room, and someone was like, hey, that thing should go beat it up. Nope. No, thank you. I would struggle. I'd be having a bad day. If that's what I were doing. Anyway. The reward is treasure. As mentioned above, there is a chest sitting among all of the spiders in this room. Then we'll come up with the contents for it. Hey, Albert of Sarter, how's it going? Good to see you here. Let's see here. Just among the spiders in this room, and then yeah, so we gotta just do a loot gen here. What's the most difficult challenge rating? It's only a 4, yeah, because they've got the death priest. But even at a 4, we're still at the smaller of the loots here. Oh wait, no, this is supposed to be a horde. I was gonna say, it's like, wow, 19 copper. That is the most pitiful chest. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. That's a good collection of treasure. 128 gold. 128 JP. And that, and then got all them artworks and stuff here. Let's see here. Ever just make a satyr who knows about the world? just a nice Mr. Tumnus that knows everything. I always struggle with those types of characters because like I feel like it's like basically having a walkthrough to the game when you have a character that's like too knowledgeable about things. I always have more fun just playing oblivious dumb characters. I personally prefer to play simple characters. Hey Calder, how's it going? Man. Yeah, I don't know. That's you do you, Albert, but I don't know. I prefer a character that gets to enjoy the mystery and kind of gets to explore and discover things rather than already knowing all of it. That's just my style though. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that I spend so much time as a DM and like having to know everything that when I do get to play, I much prefer to be a character that doesn't have to do much thinking. Like, I really like characters that are just generally speaking like, I'm good at going in and hitting things, and I stick to my lane. I stay in my lane. It's just like, to me, that ends up being a nice break from everything. Let's see, let's copy this, and then we'll put this here, and we'll modify it all as needed. Let's see here. Whoops. Undo. I don't know what that said. There we go. So it's good. Perfect. Let's take here. We got to take away the link here. Link. Remove link. Let's see here. Yeah, like I say, Albert, you know, if that's your style, that's your style, man. More power to you. More power to you. But I don't know. That ain't my style. That ain't my style. Well, like I say, I spend so much time inventing histories for my worlds that I just when I don't have to be in charge of the history, I like to just let it go. I like to just let it all be a mystery, and my guy's just like, I will hit things, and call it a day. Your character is the one that spends all day watching History Channel. Let's see here. I prefer it to be organized that way. I don't know why when I use the loot gen table it automatically puts the like ×2 worth total. No, it's like put 7 times 25. Like that makes more sense. I don't know. Let's see. Oof. Albert, you've got some serious shenanigans you got going on there, and you're playing in very different games than I organized. But hey, you know what? You do you. You do you, my man. All right. Let's see here. Oh, or my woman. I guess I don't know that much about you. You be whoever you want to be. I don't care. Just whoever makes you happy. Maybe you're actually a dragon in real life, and this is all just a cover. Your DM decided again very different games than I play, and I don't know that I as a DM or have DMs that take that route. I don't know that I try to avoid deciding character histories for them though. Like I don't know. I always feel like that's spending too much time stepping on players' toes if I decide their history. Like even if they're like, no, I want you to decide. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna throw some ideas and you pick the one that you like. Cause like it just, I don't know. I have a hard time choosing things for players. Cause I feel like that's always a good setup for players to not actually be all that invested in their character if they're not the one who decided their character's history. but I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. Da, 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 da. So we gotta put some torches up in this business. Da, da, da. So, are you trying to describe then that you're basically Donkey from Shrek? Is that what this is? Is this all coming back to a Shrek meme? Let's see here. Marrying the dragon, having a happy life with kids. Dragon's helpful. There you go. Okay, that's actually a lot of light. That's a lot more light than I actually really want in here. I'm gonna take some of that away. Let's undo a lot of this. All right, I'm gonna make these a bit more sparse here. Yeah, we can make this a lot more sparse. This is a dark tunnel. We don't need players to be able to see like ding dong everything going on in here. There we go. That's more like it. There we go. That's much more like it. I don't know, I've been getting a little like I kind of did it up in this one too. Actually, I'm gonna take a couple of these away here. Just you know, like this is supposed to just be like a cavern or a cave after all. I don't want there to be too much light going on here. You know what? I'm just going to delete that, and here's how I'm going to handle that one. Just make that one a little bit brighter. Call it good. I don't know. That's good. All good there. Let's see here. Okay, gotcha. So your character is just kind of more so one of them like omnipresent type. Well, maybe not omnipresent, but one of those like present characters who like kind of unbeknownst to many of the other people knows a lot of or has participated in a lot of history. I feel you. All right. Let's see here. That's good. That's much better. And I don't think that we. Oh, I do want to put in like the chest. I just want to put in a little object that'll be the chest that we're describing. It's just like tucked in the corner, and it's just got random stuff there. I don't know. I should put a couple skeletons with it actually, just because that kind of ends up making it fit a bit better with the lore. Because the lore of this is that like people were trying to flee, you know, the dwarven city in general, as things were going to hell in a handbasket. And so if we put a couple skeletons, it can be like, okay, these two people had a chest full of their most valuable possessions, and they were just trying to get out of Dodge, and they ended up here. So they failed to get out of Dodge, which is, you know, always too bad. But hey, you know, them's the breaks. Them's the breaks when it's the apocalypse. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sometimes bad things happen. All right, let's see here. Okay. Hey, that's fine. Let's go ahead and do... Okay, so now we got... Oh, man, this room's going to be the easiest one of all. It's the safe room. There's no danger happening here. Sweet. Safe. And then that's actually kind of fun because that's the first room that they'll be entering here. So that's actually really nice. Let's just go ahead and say... As you leave the last bits of the abandoned... dwarven city behind, you find yourselves entering a we'll say a series of rough cut and confusingly organized tunnels. It would appear that the dwarves in charge of constructing these tunnels. Boy, man, oh man, you can tell it's getting to the end. My fingers are not dexterous. I'm bunging up almost every other word here. Okay, dwarves in charge of constructing these tunnels. Either did not want them to be easy to traverse, or simply didn't care whether or not they were. let's see here, branching tunnels seem to wander off in random directions with random directions connected with oddly shaped and sized chambers. If you were to hazard a guess, you might think this how do I want to say this? You might think this network was intentional as a way to trap and confuse would-be vault robbers. This realization offers you no comfort as you think about how you're here to rob the hidden key from within the vault. I'll just give them a nice little intro to this area, like, "Oi, you're in trouble now." just offer that up to them. Let's do treasure. Alright, so let's see. We'll say huddled in the corner of this room, you see a few skeletons surrounding a few pouches and a larger trunk of some sort. It would appear that perhaps a family of dwarves fled here to escape the dangers of the city that you yourselves just left behind. Tragedy that they were forced to be in these tunnels in the early days of the unhinging. And then we'll just give them among all the pouches and in that trunk what they get. And so let's just go ahead and give ourselves another roll of loot here. Wow, pretty much exactly the same loot, just a slightly different value of gold pieces and different specific items. Oh boy. Alright, let's see here. So we've got 145 gold. 145 GP. And then let's get ourselves our other artworks here. Let's see. Copy that. One here. And then we just got to reformat it a little bit here. And there we go. Take away all of our links here just because it doesn't work right because it's randomly generated loot. It doesn't really, like, all of it takes you to just like one big database that's basically just a copy and paste of the loot tables and the descriptions you can find of all these things in like the Dungeon Master's Guide and stuff like that. And you know, if that's what we're trying to achieve, if that's what we need, then we can go and just like use the actual source books and stuff like that. That's why I like using that loot generator, because it does take everything directly from the loot tables as they appear in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I really appreciate that. But yeah, the links just don't translate well when you copy and paste them. So, you know, kind of a shame that in the future I won't recognize that stuff came from that source, especially if I ever change sources and forget I was using that one. But you know, at least for the sake of the stream, you can see where I'm going. I guess I'll offer up the plug to these guys. 5e.tool/lootgen, baby. Real good loot generator. There's a lot of good loot generators that all use the they're just like a form of automatic rolling on the Dungeon Master's guide, loot tables and stuff like that. This is the one that I like the best personally, because if you do need it, if you stay on the same page, it offers up descriptions, and I feel like it organizes it pretty well in a way that's pretty clear to see. So I like using this one, but there's a lot of other ones, and they all kind of work on the same basic principles. So, whatever floats your boat, whatever you like the best is the one you ought to go for. But there we go. There's that. Let's go ahead and decorate our final chamber here. Yeah, we'll just kind of put a couple more skeletons here. Oh, wait, here we go. This is going to be really sad. Watch this. I'm going to make things really, really depressing. Where's our mirror? We hold A. They died holding hands. They died holding hands. Isn't that just depressing? And then we'll say this guy was just like off on their own. Maybe that one died first and those two were like, no, we're next. And then they died. And then everyone died. The end. And then there's their chest of stuff. Oh, and I said that there were a couple other like pouches and stuff around too, didn't I? So we'll like maybe throw this one by this guy. Like maybe it was two families or something. I don't know. We don't need to worry too much about the details. The mystery is what's fun about it. It's like I was saying, we don't need every detail of the history to be known and mapped out. You know, sometimes it's fun to just leave it to mystery. And in fact, that's what, once I finish this dungeon, why I'm glad we made good progress on this one today. I've got some ideas for the next few chapters on how I want to sort of add just some interesting lore and history to them. And I'm excited to go about that, and a lot of it is going to revolve around history that players will likely not be able to find all the answers to. And I think that's what, I don't know, and maybe this is just me and my personal style, but I really like a mystery that you can't necessarily know the full picture behind. I think it's really fun when you end up with some sort of lore or some sort of history that remains just that, lore and history, something unknown, something weird and mysterious. I think that adds a lot to it, and I think it's fun for players when their imagination has to fill in a lot of those blanks. I think it makes things really interesting for them. I just noticed that I accidentally dropped an extra thing there, and I don't want that there. I want that to be nice and dark in the center there. But yeah, I'm a fan of that kind of stuff, and like, I feel like there's a certain essence of that in here. But the one thing that I think is taking away from that, and I don't regret it, and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's resulting in like a bad dungeon or campaign so far. I think I'm really happy with what we've come up with so far, as we're pretty close to the halfway point of what we're writing for this. I guess really we're more like a third, because each thing gets like, you know, as the difficulty and we get later in the campaign, things kind of compound to get more complex and get longer and stuff. But anyway, that analysis aside, I'm really happy with what we've done so far. But as we're getting, like, what we've done a lot of so far is that despite the fact that this world of mine is meant to be one in which much of the world is uninhabited, we've kind of accidentally created an environment in which there is a lot of habitation. We've encountered giants, we've encountered Duragar. Pretty soon we're going to be encountering Drow, although I've got some ideas on how we can make that still feel empty and abandoned. And so the results of that, even though we're still like, so the Duragar exist within an abandoned dwarven city, so there is still a lot of mystery about what happened to the dwarves and where did the Duragar come from. It doesn't have that same sort of empty feeling that I like my world to have. I like my world to feel sort of empty, aside from the relics left behind. Is sort of what really gets my creative blood flowing for these kinds of things. Is just that, like, that's the atmosphere that I really like, and while I really like what we've made in this dungeon or this campaign so far, it's kind of strayed from that. And so I'm excited to, once we're done with this dungeon, I'm not going to change anything in this dungeon. I think we do actually have a solid, fun, interesting dungeon that covers a lot of ground and really kind of creates an interesting atmosphere and a fun series of challenges for our players. So I don't have any interest in changing that or editing that in any way. I want to stay the course with it because I think we've got a vision, and once it's realized, it's going to be really good. But yeah, I'm excited to move on to whatever to the next chapter once we finish this one up of this campaign, because I think it's going to end up in some really I've got some ideas for kind of bringing us back to that sort of abandoned feeling, which can make it really fun when you add, because the concept for me is to add puzzles and traps and challenges and dangers that aren't the result of an active enemy, but rather the remnants of a past one, right? And so I really want to kind of explore that, and kind of get some more of that mood injected into this campaign, because we largely haven't done much of that. So, and like I say, I've got some ideas on how we can do that when our players are going to be encountering the drow. I've got some ideas how we can kind of get a feeling of that while still having the drow be a present entity, because I do want them as part of it, because when we think about the overall storyboard that we've established for this campaign that we're working on, I think they do still have an important place, and I want to have them there. I still think they're a fun addition. But yeah, I've got some fun ideas to mix it up. But with all of that said, I'm looking at the time, and it's about 5 minutes before I'm supposed to be switching over to video games here. So I'm going to go ahead, and what's going to happen is I'm going to do my little sign off for the writing, and then I'm going to take a short break, 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to be playing some Neverwinter Nights. So if you want to continue discussions about D&D campaigns, all that kind of stuff, this is a good game day for you to stick around, because I will still be very much in that D&D mood as I'm playing, Neverwinter Nights, one of the earlier D&D video games that's been created, and we're having fun with that one. So yeah, if you want to stick around for that, that's what's going to be coming up. As far as all my plugs and stuff, as always, I've got a whole lot of new links, and I'm going to try and remember to do them. I'm doing my best to learn how to grow this channel. I've had, a lot more interest in this than I ever would have thought, which is super fun and exciting for me. And I really appreciate everyone who's stopped by at any point in time, whether you watch live, watch the VODs, whatever it is. I'm just so appreciative of it, because this is such a fun thing for me to do, and the fact that other people are interested in the stuff that I'm doing just means a lot to me. But in the name of trying to, trying to continue to have fun and continue to produce interesting content that's fun for other people to watch and observe and be part of, I'm trying to learn how to grow my channel, and I'm very bad about it, but I'm doing my best. So if I forget any of my links or any of my self-plugs that I'm supposed to do, I'll get better at it. But at any rate, self-plugs. If you like communicating and being part of a community on Discord, I've got a Discord server. We talk a lot about sharing different D&D homebrew stuff, things that people have made, things that I've made, other things that I'm working on. It's a really good place to just sort of be part of this small but growing community that we've established here. So if that's something you're interested, get joined up with that. That's also a good place to get announcements about upcoming streams, whether I have to change them, whether I have to cancel them, anything like that. That's a really good place for that. And all of these links that I'm talking about, you can find them on the About section of my Twitch page. So it's a good place. I'm working on trying to figure out how to get like a bot that'll put them in the chat periodically, but I haven't found a way to do it that I didn't feel was really annoying and too present. But you can find all of the links to all of these things in my About page. So we've got that one. We've got Discord. We've got a YouTube channel. That's where I put all my VODs. If you want to see other things that I've written in the past, if you want to watch past video games that I've played and all that kind of stuff, it's a really good place to go there. I'm doing my best to keep all that stuff organized, and I upload stuff pretty much immediately after streaming it. So we got that one. If you want the announcements but don't want to be part of Discord, I do have a Twitter, and I'm trying to learn how to use that. I've never used Twitter before in my life. I'm so bad at it. I don't know how it works, but I'm learning. I promise I'm doing my best to learn, so we've got that one. If you are interested in some of the other stuff that I do, I drop a lot of hints about the other things I do in my life, rock climbing, kickboxing, all that kind of stuff. If you think that stuff is interesting and want to learn more about my other projects outside of this, I have an Instagram, and I'm trying to learn how to use that one. So that's there. And then I think the only other one is because I have had people ask, and it was never something I really thought about, but as more people get interested and more people ask, the more I'm like, well, if that's what you guys want, I guess I'll set this up too. I do also have a page where you can send donations. I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. So if you want to donate to me so that I can continue to grow the stream, get myself an actual mic, get myself some more interesting overlays and fun stuff like that, if you want to see it grow, I'm willing to accept donations. It's not something that I was comfortable with the idea of for a long time, but I'm learning to accept that that's part of the culture here, and that's what people want to see from me. So if you like the stuff that I'm doing and you want to support and help me do more of it, then you feel free to put donations there. I promise I will keep donations as something that feeds back into the stream. That's what my intent is, for it to feed back into the stream so I can grow it with like better equipment, better games, better tools, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's all my plugs. I think those are all the links. Again, you can find all of those on the About section of my Twitch page. And go check those out, and I appreciate any interest that you guys are showing in anything that I do. It really does mean a lot to me. As for the rest of this week, as always, I do stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And this week, as of right now, I have nothing getting in the way of that. Sometimes I do have to change things last minute based on work meetings. I do have a day job that does have to take priority because that is how I pay the bills. So, and that's why the Discord and the Twitter can be helpful, because I will put updates there about if I have to cancel a stream. But as of right now, those times should be there, starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for writing, and then switching over at around 1:30 p.m. again Eastern Time to video gaming. So those are all my plugs. That's all that I've got. So again, thank you to everyone who's here. If you want to stick around and watch me do some Neverwinter Nights, then stick around, or come back in like 15 minutes. Like I say, I'm going to take a break and just rest my voice and all that kind of stuff. Be a little nice to myself and let myself take a few minutes. But yeah, we'll be back for a couple hours of gaming. So if that's of interest to you, then stick around for that. If not, if you're just here for the world building type of stuff, I totally get that. I totally understand that. And I appreciate whatever stuff you stick around for. And if that's the case, then I'm excited to probably see you tomorrow. So yeah. Either way, again, I appreciate all of you so much. I cannot say it enough. You guys are all super rad people. And, yeah, I'm going to switch us over to our intermission screen here. And then at some point in time, we'll switch over, and we'll be doing some video gaming. So I will be back, and, yeah, I'll see you in like 15 minutes. So take care until then.